Dan itu akhirnya benar-benar bikin jadi kompetitif karena kita udah lihat Viñales juara, Miller juara gitu.
Juara, ya. Saya setuju karena memang ini hasil ya seperti yang saya katakan. Ini kembali ke saat MotoGP sebelum era 2006 di mana ECU-nya benar-benar masih
standar banget
dan memang kemampuan pembalap beradaptasi dan ini terbukti. Sudah ada 7 pembalap yang berbeda juara dan mudah-mudahan akan ada juara-juara lagi.
Amin.
Ya, saya harapkan Dovizioso dan Pedrosa bisa ikut ambil serta. Gitu.
Amin deh kalau gitu. Baiklah GP Mania, kita langsung saja menyaksikan seri ke-13 MotoGP 2016 langsung dari Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli.
Not just at the ending, even at the start, but we've got to remember the differences between those tyres are not absolutely massive. It's also to do with riding style. It's also to do with how the bike is set up. So I don't think we're going to see an enormous gap. But yes, they could certainly play a role, especially depending on how much they might have to fight or not. Because obviously, the more they have to overtake, the more they've got to go on the brakes. The harder it's going to work that front tyre, and the quicker it will wear.
Well, I said they couldn't get many people in here. 100,000 people jammed, I don't think is the word to you. Getting out is going to be we'll probably be reporting to you in a week's time, trying to get out up towards the airport at Bologna.
That's dinner at 7 o'clock gone down in the window, hasn't it?
7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think they combine it with breakfast, but electric atmosphere as you would expect. Round 13 of the championship. We're ready to go. 27 degrees centigrade, 43 degrees centigrade the track temperature. Very little wind. Perfect weather for MotoGP and round 13 of the championship. The grid lines up. Jorge Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi and Maverick Viñales. All of them, of course, race winners this season. Behind them, Marc Marquez, the championship leader, Michele Pirro and Andrea Dovizioso on the Ducatis. The lights are on, they're red, they're away. We're underway here in Misano.
Excellent start off the front row from pole position by Jorge Lorenzo. He looks like he's got the whole shot. Maverick Viñales is up the inside of Valentino Rossi. Rossi tries to fight back. Rossi will have the inside line, but it's Lorenzo that leads through turns 1 and 2. Jorge Lorenzo got the dream start. Rossi up into second place by Viñales. Viñales coming under pressure from Dovizioso and Marquez. Dovizioso's up into 4th place by Marquez.
Up in turns 4 and 5, aggressive stuff from Rossi with Maverick Viñales in turn 1. He doesn't want Lorenzo to clear off at the front. Well, that's exactly what he can do. 4 and 5. Down for this very fast turn 7 to the difficult turn 8. Half a lap gone. Lorenzo leads from Rossi.
Danny Pedrosa got the start he wanted from 8th place on the grid. Pedrosa's already got ahead of Cal Crutchlow. He's right on the tail of his Repsol Honda teammate Marc Marquez. It's the 2 movie star Yamahas though that lead this race. Lorenzo from Valentino Rossi. British Grand Prix winner Maverick Viñales coming under real pressure from Andrea Dovizioso's factory Ducati. Dovizioso's been 4th in this Grand Prix 4 times. He sits 4th on the first lap here.
Fastest part of the surge in 280 kilometres an hour and through this frighteningly fast turn 11, the Cavoni corner.
Dovizioso got through. Dovizioso got through on Maverick Viñales in the 3rd place, but he ran wide. He ran wide at Cavoni corner. It was a brave move by Dovizioso. He couldn't make it stick. Rossi closes right up on the brakes on Lorenzo coming through turn number 14. No way through this time around for Rossi. Dovizioso back in 4th.
Two left-handers that bring him back into the start and finish. They're in the second one of them, turn 16, into the start and finish, end of the first lap. The 2 Yamahas lead the way. Rossi leads from Lorenzo, and he certainly has not let Lorenzo get away. Maverick Viñales in 3rd place, and then the Ducati of Dovizioso, followed by Marquez up the inside of Dovizioso, and takes over 4th place.
Classic move on that change of direction by Marc Marquez. Can Dovizioso fight back on the brakes going into turn 4? No, Marquez is too strong on the brakes. He's got that hard front tyre on, of course, on that Repsol Honda. Viñales desperately trying to go away with Lorenzo and Rossi at the front of this race. And it's Marquez who will now lead the chase on that top 3. The gap between Lorenzo and Rossi up to almost 0.2 of a second as they come down a turn 8 for the second time.
Yeah, I think Marquez was quite brutal there because he thought the 3 at the front were going to get away.
There was a moment there for Rossi. He's lost a few bike lengths as they came out. Tito Rabat's crashed the Estrella Galicia Honda rider. Wretched weekend again for the Mark VDS team. Tito Rabat down at turn number 4. Of course, no Jack Miller starting this Grand Prix through injury. Rossi had a moment there. coming through turn number 8. Just lost him a bit of momentum, bit of drive as they came out of that 8th corner.
He's fast through turn 11. He closes up on turn 12, 13, braking all the time. Here comes Rossi. Is he going to get up the inside of turn 14 on the brakes? The first gear corner. Valentino Rossi, and they touch, but Rossi leads the way. The crowd go wild.
Rossi picked up Jorge Lorenzo there. He tried the classic block move. There wasn't a lot of room. Rossi was really tight on the inside curve. Lorenzo had nowhere to go. He had to pick up. That's dropped Lorenzo back to second place into the clutches of Maverick Vinales. Valentino Rossi leads his home Grand Prix here in Misano.
Into turns 1 and 2. And leading the chase is Maverick Vinales on the Suzuki, followed by Marc Marquez. Lorenzo closes back up. Marquez wants to join in the fun. This has a feeling of one hell of a race. It's a sea of yellow at the far end of the circuit. The crowd, 100,000 of them, go wild. Rossi leads just 5 kilometres away from his hometown.
That was a super aggressive move by Rossi down at the brakes at turn number 14. He really did pick up Jorge Lorenzo mid-corner. On board now with Marc Marquez on the Repsol Honda. Tito Rabat's retired from this race. Marquez now putting real pressure on Maverick Vinales. Those two of only 3 riders in this race who have gone for that hard option Michelin front tyre. Firm on the Suzuki.
Aggressive stuff and full mark to Maverick Vinales. He could not get through the Cavoni corner. Dovizioso now closing up on Marquez as well. Marquez coming under real pressure from Dovizioso. 12, 13 and 14 braking all the time. Slowest bend on the circuit. And Rossi is running a rare old pace at the front now.
Yeah, has Rossi got the pace to make a break at the front? We know in the hot conditions in Jerez and in Barcelona earlier this year he was superb. That was the move. Oh, that was close, wasn't it, between Marquez and Vinales in the battle for 3rd place. Rossi's over the line, a 1:33.6. Rossi is the man that's flying at the moment in this 28-lap Misano Grand Prix. A 1:33.6 from Rossi, 0.3 of a second quicker than Jorge Lorenzo. I was just about to say, we know that Rossi excelled in the hot conditions in Jerez and Barcelona. He was untouchable in both races. He really does like these conditions. He likes when the grip goes away, Rossi can manage the tyres brilliantly. Vinales wide at turn number 4. Oh, no way through for Marquez. He had a good look.
He said he did have a good look. It was a little mistake by Maverick Vinales. Through turn 7 they come. This very fast lefter down towards turn 8. We're back with Marc Marquez on the brakes again, but he can't close up. And the 2 Ducatis are closing up on the Suzuki of Vinales and the Honda of Marquez all the time. That's Biro. Now has he got through this time? No, side by side. But Vinales still holds the advantage. He's got the inside this time round. I think Marquez is through. Has he made it stick? He has. Marc Marquez now moves up into 3rd place, and he's got to be there as those 2 Yamahas are going to get away at the front.
Yeah, Vinales lost all drive. He almost tagged the back of Marc Marquez, and what happened was he had to shut the throttle. He lost drive coming onto the back straight, and that led Andrea Dovizioso to sweep through into 4th place. So the aggression from Marc Marquez not only cost Vinales 1 place, it cost him 2, because Dovizioso was able to come through. Dani Pedrosa looking really threatening there in 6th place as well.
2 groups a bit at the moment. It's the 2 Yamahas out the front with Rossi and Lorenzo. Then one hell of a battle between Marquez, Dovizioso, Vinales and Pedrosa. A little bit further down, if we can quickly look, Cal Crutchlow going well in 7th. 8th is Alicia Spargo. Pirro 9th. Paul Espargaro 10. Petrucci 12. 11. 12 is Bradle, 13 Battista, 14 Redding, 15 Lavany, 16 Lowe's, 17 Barbara, 18 Hernandez, and Flores in 19th place. And as we heard, Tito Rabat, unfortunately, out of the race.
Pedrosa's through on Maverick Vinales. Dani Pedrosa then is up and immobile in this race. Pedrosa then has taken Vinales for 5th place. The gap between Rossi and Lorenzo, half a second. Marquez now has got clear track in front of him. He's worked his way through to this battle for 3rd place. Let's see what he can do now, and can he hunt down the 2 factory Yamahas? The gap between Lorenzo and Marquez is 1 second.
Guys, quick word on Tito Rabat. So he hasn't pulled into the pits. The guys are trying to repair his bike. It's obviously not going to give him any points, but in terms of experience, they do want to send him back out there again.
Well, there's 23 and a half laps to go. Fastest part of the circuit, past that massive grass bank where the fans have been assembled since a daylight. There is Marquez, comfortably in 3rd place. Dovizioso running 4th. Dani Pedrosa, the man on the charge, in 5th place. Vinales 6th. Cal Crutchlow going well in 7th.
Dovizioso fourth in Misano? Surely not. Here comes Valentino Rossi then through turn number 15. He's gapping Jorge Lorenzo at the front of this field. The gap now is almost 9/10 of a second. This was the move that Marc Marquez made on Maverick Vinales. That was his first attempt at turn 10. Next time around, he actually made his stick. This was close, though. Look, you can see Maverick what he touched. Maverick Vinales clipped the rear end of Marc Marquez. It was an aggressive move by Marquez at turn 10. That totally compromised Vinales' exit down onto the back straight, and that's what allowed Andrea Dovizioso to sweep through.
Dovizioso now coming under pressure from Dani Pedrosa. At the front is still Rossi, Lorenzo, Marquez. This is the battle between Dovizioso and Pedrosa. Of course, both of them are former MotoGP winners. Both of them former 125cc world champions. Pedrosa has won here at Misano. Dovizioso has never finished on the podium at his home race.
This is going to be an intriguing race unfolding in front of us. Nobody's done anywhere near race distance on these tyres in these punishingly hot conditions. Here we are on board with Valentino Rossi at 1:33.384. Last time around was 4/10 faster than Lorenzo. That gap is up to almost 9. Pedrosa's got to get through on Dovizioso really sharply, because otherwise the podium battle's going away from him. He has got through. I said he had to get through. He has done. A move probably at the final corner then from Dani Pedrosa, but has he yielded it straight back to Andrea Dovizioso? No, he hasn't. So Pedrosa is into fourth place.
22 laps remaining, long punishing laps for the body of the riders, but more importantly for the tyres in these hot conditions. Although Rossi has that advantage of 0.8 of a second, this race is a long way from...
Countering any major problems at the moment. It's just the fact that Valentino Rossi is riding so supremely fast and consistent at the front, because Lorenzo last time around put in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:33.532, but the gap to Rossi was still 8.5 tenths.
Yeah, and Marc Marquez is working so hard to try and close the gap on Lorenzo. It's pretty constant. It's around 0.8 of a second.
Guys, Tito Rabat is now heading back out on track.
Here is Marc Marquez through the Cavoni corner. Switch back to Lorenzo. Yeah, that gap through the third sector time coming up any moment now. Let's have a look. It's about, it's 0.8 of a second. So it really isn't making any impact on Lorenzo as we stand. Rossi still leads the way through 15, then 16. What will the gap be when he crosses the line with 21 laps to go? Can he get it up to that magic 1 second?
Rossi alone start that number 8. It's almost a second. It's Marc Marquez that's the man on the charge. Marquez has just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.353. He's cut Lorenzo's gap to under 0.7 of a second. Lorenzo got a brilliant start from pole position. Vinales was also away. Well, he out-dragged Rossi on the run to the first corner. Lorenzo got the whole shot, sweeps across the front of Rossi and Vinales. This is on board with Rossi. Marquez got away pretty well as well. Dani Pedrosa actually from 8th place got a superb start. That was an old-style Dani Pedrosa start, wasn't it?
It certainly was, and behind Maverick Vinales into the right-hand of turn 1, but up the inside of him at turn 2. Classic Misano move by Valentino Rossi.
We're looking at this replay at the start through turn 3, and the lead between Valentino Rossi and Lorenzo is up to over a second for the first time. Alex Lowe's, the Tech 3 Yamaha rider, has crashed out. There he is, he's perfectly okay. But Rossi's through the second sector on lap number 8, and his lead is just over a second. And Lorenzo's coming under massive pressure now from Marc Marquez. You can see Marquez visibly closer. The gap now between Lorenzo and Marquez under half a second for the first time.
Well, we go back to those 2 races, the hot races in Jerez and in Barcelona. Of course, Valentino Rossi won them both, didn't he, when Lorenzo had those front tyre problems. And it is becoming a battle now for second place. Marquez closes right up on the rear wheel of Jorge Lorenzo. They're through turn 15, up towards 16. This final left-hander, they're on the start and finish straight when they cross the line. 20 laps to go here at Misano, and Rossi has an advantage of 1.2 seconds.
Marquez, quickest man on track again last time around, that 1:30 champion.
So we ride with Jorge Lorenzo. Marquez at number 93 closes right up on him on the brakes over turns 4 and 5. There they will flick it right through 6, and then this very, very fast turn 7. Just a little kink as they race down now towards turn 8. Marquez lights it here, closes all the brakes, it just dips into turn 8.
Lorenzo struggling here because he's dropped now 1.4 seconds behind Rossi. He lost another 2/10 in the first sector on this lap number 9, and he is dropping back into the clutches of Marc Marquez. Marquez, of course, with that hard option front tyre, he'll certainly have the braking stability. He won't have the agility and the corner entry performance of the two Yamahas in front of him, but he might have, and this could be crucial, he might have the endurance for those final crucial 5, 6, 7 laps.
We ride with Marc Marquez, the two specs in front of him. One quite a big spec, that's Jorge Lorenzo. A much smaller spec is Valentino Rossi, who leads the race into turn 14. Yeah, actually catching Lorenzo and actually passing him, it may not be so easy, may it, in these conditions and with that tyre choice. Into the final corner they come. There'll be 19 laps to go. Has Rossi increased his advantage at the front as he flashes across the line?
Well, it was Lorenzo that was the fraction faster last time around. The Vizioso's dropping back into the clutches of Maverick Vinales here. This is a battle for 5th place. Danny Pedrosa last time around, a personal best lap from him, a 1:33.358. But did Pedrosa just take too long to dispense with Andrea Dovizioso? Because Pedrosa is 1.5 seconds behind Marquez in 3rd.
And closing up on Maverick Vinales all the time is Cal Crutchlow. Crutchlow on that LCR Honda running in 7th. 8th is Pirro. 9th is Polesparger. 10th is Brother Alage. Then Petrucci, Prada, Bautista. Labadie 14. Scott Redding 15th. Fortunately, Alex Lowe's has crashed out without injury.
Dovizioso, such a hard rider to overtake. He's one of the latest breakers in this MotoGP field. Of course, with the acceleration performance of the Ducati, he gets great grunt coming out of the corner. So Maverick Vinales at the moment unable to find a way through to make a clean and safe pass on Dovizioso. Again, look at that. The Ducati winds up the power through the gears coming out of turn number 10. Dovizioso is able to just eke out 2 or 3 crucial bike lengths, which means Vinales has then got to try and make up all of his time in the braking zone. It's a bit of like the old bungee cord effect, isn't it, really, between these two? Is Vinales close enough to attack at turn number 14? No, not this time around. This is a good battle over Cal Crutchlow, because while these two are fighting, it's just bringing Crutchlow back into contention for 5th.
And behind Crutchlow, just got a glimpse of Michele Pirro replacing the injured Andrea in the factory Ducati team. 1.1 seconds still. So Lorenzo's keeping that gap constant at the moment. Rossi's not able to increase the advantage. Vinales only thinks about going at the inside of Dovizioso and turn 1. He decides it's not the thing to do. He's so right. The late breaker and the power Ducati make him a very, very hard man to overtake. Dovizioso in 5th place, Maverick Vinales in 6th.
So Valentino Rossi's lead then through the first sector on lap 11 is 1.1 seconds. Lorenzo again putting his personal best lap time last time around, a 1:33.379, but he wasn't able to make any impression on Rossi because Rossi was only 0.02 of a second slower. So Rossi's running pretty metronomic, consistent pace at the front of this race at the moment. You can see there, will it all come down to front tyre choice? The two Yamahas on the medium front, Marc Marquez on the hard front. Now Marc Marquez got in lots of laps in FP3 yesterday morning and in FP4 on that hard front tyre.
Here is Rossi through turns 11, 12, 13, braking hard now for 14. The first gear right-hander, just over 17 laps to go, up to the 2 left-handers.
It's a great illustration of this race.
Tino about running wide there, wasn't he?
He's just moving out of the way, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just making sure that he doesn't get interfere with these race leaders. Danny Pedrosa's race so far just gives you a great indication of his riding style and his body weight, his physical size, because, well, Vinales has finally got through on Dovizioso, but couldn't you come back to Pedrosa? Because he's on that soft front tyre. You'd think at this stage of the race he would really start already encountering some big front tyre issues. And when I say that, Pedrosa has just put in the best lap of the race, a 1:33.203. He's got the soft option front tyre on Pedrosa, and he's not wearing it because he's smooth on the brakes. He's not as aggressive as Rossi and Marquez, and his weight means that he doesn't overheat the front tyre as well. This is really impressive from Pedrosa.
Yeah, Vinales moving in front of Dovizioso. It's just saw a replay of that move at turn 14. That has helped Cal Crutchlow. This is now closing up on Andrea Dovizioso. Familiar number 35. Second at Silverstone, winner 3 weeks ago. Bruno in the Czech Republic. Crosses the line in 7th place.
Pedrosa last time around was 0.3 of a second quicker than his teammate Marquez. So the gap between Marquez and Pedrosa came down to 1.1 seconds.
How does he compare with Rossi? What is he, 2.5 seconds down on him at the moment?
And last time around, Pedrosa was 0.4 of a second faster than Valentino Rossi.
Not even at half distance yet.
He might really rue having taken a little bit longer than what he would have liked to have got through an Andrea Dovizioso at the start of that race, because that did cost him crucial time.
It's a 28-lap race. It's a long old race in these hot conditions, and we're 16 and a half laps in. So there you go. A new race record for Dani Pedrosa, a 1:33.203. He is a former winner here. 6 years ago he won the MotoGP race here, Dani Pedrosa. Could this be his moment? Could we have another great winner?
Well, if Dani Pedrosa does win, it will be a record-breaking 8th successive different winner in 8 Premier Class races. Surely it can't happen. We'd love to see it happen. But Dani Pedrosa, my only fear is, will he run into maybe some endurance issues, because he is on that soft. Marquez in front of him on the hard. He hasn't encountered any problems as yet, Pedrosa. And again, last time around, he was almost 0.2 of a second faster than Marquez. That gap's just come down to just over a second now, so there's a great incentive. Dani Pedrosa, you can just see as he's gaining crucial tenths on the 2 Spaniards in front of him. It's just all the incentive he needs to keep attacking.
What about our tyre man down in pit lane? What do you reckon, Dylan? Because he is closing visibly all the time.
No, absolutely. I think it's more difficult for Pedrosa when he has to pass people. That's, I think, why he took such a long time to get past Dovizioso, because he can't brake quite as hard as the other guys. But now that he's in his own rhythm, he's got Marc Marquez as a reference. I think that's ultimately why he's getting these times in. If he then does have to start getting past those guys, I think that's the way you might start seeing a few difficulties come in. That's when he might start overheating the tyre once he has to play with the brakes a bit more.
Well, Rossi, the leader, has turned through turns 12, 13, coming up to 14. And closing visibly now on his teammate is Dani Pedrosa in 4th place, and Marc Marquez in 3rd spot. 15 and 16, they're through 15, up towards 16. The left-hander into the start and finish straight. And we're still not at half distance.
It's been as you were, hasn't it, for a few laps now. Lorenzo's not made any significant impression on Rossi. Likewise, Marquez has not made any impression on Lorenzo. Pedrosa again, last time around, a 1:33.004. Another lap record then from Dani Pedrosa. He really is the man on the charge. Lorenzo and Rossi put in PB laps last. Temperatures 111 degrees surface temperature through the 3rd sector, so tyre wear, endurance and durability is going to be absolutely essential as we move into the second half of the race.
Here come the 4 leaders through that very fast Cavoni corner. Around 120, 130 miles an hour. Pedrosa is closing on Marquez all the time. Re-riving Dani Pedrosa. Is there a way through? Yeah. Is he going to get up the inside at turn 14? Oh, classic manoeuvre. Dani Pedrosa is into 3rd place. Up the inside at turn 14.
There aren't many people that make overtaking Marc Marquez look easy, but Dani Pedrosa made that look easy. That was clinical from Pedrosa. He lined that up coming through turns 11, 12 and 13, because with that soft option rear tyre, front tyre, he can carry more corner speed through those fast sections. He just had much more momentum through those fast 11, 12 and 13 sections, and then lined up Marquez for a brilliant move on the brakes at turn number 14. So Pedrosa up to 3rd.
Yeah, and he's got Jorge Lorenzo, another Spaniard in his sights. Marquez, though, hanging onto the rear wheel of Pedrosa. That's exactly what he would do, and he will snap back if he gets the chance. Here we go, and having a look again.
He made that look easy, didn't he?
He did. It made it look like a run down to the shops to pick up a pint of milk,
Well,
didn't he?
it's because he was so much quicker through 11, 12 and 13 than Marquez. Marquez just had...
Pinch positions into a stand at the moment. It would be good news for Valentino Rossi because he would have pulled back 12 points on Marc Marquez in the championship battle, but it's probably not going to end in these positions.
Rossi's pushing, looked like his left foot came off the foot peg as he came through turn number 10, so Valentino Rossi's having to work incredibly hard to keep this lead of just over a second clear of his teammate Lorenzo. Marquez looks like he really is struggling, pushing in those early laps, Marquez. Has he just been too aggressive? Has he really overheated that front tyre?
Closing right up now on the rear wheel of the Yamaha of Jorge Lorenzo is the man in form, the man with the fastest lap, the new lap race record. It's Dani Pedrosa, closes up through turn 16. When they cross the line, there will be 13 laps to go. It's a matter of when, not if. He's going to, sorry, if, not when.
Oh, he's in the 132s, Dick. The first man of the day for the 132s. This has been an awesome sequence of laps from Dani Pedrosa. He's dropping Marc Marquez, who's really struggling behind him. Last time around, Pedrosa was 0.6 of a second quicker than Marquez. Pedrosa 0.4 of a second faster than Lorenzo last time around. Pedrosa is the man on the charge. He's the man that's looking menacing.
They're through turns 6 up towards 7. This fast.
Get close enough. The Yamaha really hooked up well on that medium rear tyre. Look as well again. It looks like the Yamaha just carrying a little bit better acceleration grip. Of course, we know the Honda's suffered this year with the acceleration coming out of the corners. Look how much time, though, Pedrosa with that soft front tyre can gain through the faster corners. He's just got much more front end grip, much more corner speed. He's right on the back wheel of Lorenzo now, coming through turn 14.
Up to 15 they come. The first of the left-handers is not quite close enough. Rossi probably unaware of the battle behind him. Rossi still leads the way through 16, across the line, 12 laps ago, another epic battle here. Amazon across the line they go. Rossi's advantage at the front still around 1 second. Lorenzo's there, but Lorenzo is putting up a one hell of a fight.
Lorenzo must be pulling his hair out because he's just done another personal best lap of the race, a 1:33.285, but he can't get within a second of Valentino Rossi. Nothing else that Lorenzo can do. He's riding absolutely on the limit, and he's making no real inroads into Rossi's 1 second advantage. And all the while he's trying to fight back on Rossi, he's got Dani Pedrosa breathing all down his neck.
Yeah, just waiting for that small mistake when he pushes on to try and catch Rossi, and he will be through. Here they are down at turn 8, and this is where the Yamaha was strong into this little back straight. Still strong in acceleration out of here as well, up towards 9 and 10 as we ride with Jorge Lorenzo. It's just settled down for a minute now, hasn't it, with 11 and a half laps to go. The thing is that Rossi's not getting away at the front, so Pedrosa, he's okay there at the moment.
Yeah,
if Rossi's starting to get away, you have to get past him.
Lorenzo's cut the gap to Rossi for the first time under a second for quite a few laps now. As we look again from the helicopter shot, Pedrosa's just superb. There he goes. He's through at turn number 14. The exact same move he put on Marc Marquez a few laps ago. Pedrosa up in a second place. He's just superb in that third sector, Dani Pedrosa. By far the fastest rider on track in that third split. Now he can hunt down Valentino Rossi at the lead of this Grand Prix. They're about to come over the line to start lap number 18. The gap between Rossi and Pedrosa is 1.2 seconds.
Dani Pedrosa in second.
The track limit, so Vinales currently in 5th place will have to yield that 5th position and go into 6th place behind Andrea Dovizioso. That will be registering on his dashboard. He moves away very quickly. Experienced ride there by Maverick Vinales. We're going to get a look. This is coming out of the final corner.
Pretty tight,
pretty marginal,
but
yeah.
Race direction have been hawk-eyed, haven't they, this weekend, and fair enough. Back at the front, Rossi still leads the way. Pedrosa up into second place, as we told you, being shadowed by Jorge Lorenzo. Further back, we have Marquez, Vinales, Dovizioso, Vinales, Crutchlow, Pirro, the two Espargaros, Battista, Petrucci, Bradle, Barbara Lavity running in 15th place, Scott Redding 16th.
This is a real deflating and demoralising performance from Marquez, because he's now 1.2 seconds behind Pedrosa. Oh, there was a fall at the top of the picture there. I think Aleix Espargaro's crashed at turn number 10. I think Aleix Espargaro on the second Suzuki was down out of 10th position. He was.
Looks okay, Aleix Espargaro. Had a crash in qualifying yesterday as well. Had a spat with Valentino Rossi on Friday afternoon, and a wretched weekend for the rider that will switch from Suzuki to Aprilia next season.
Front end washing away then on Aleix Espargaro. Of course, he had that hard Michelin front tyre on as well. One of only 3 riders in this race, along with Marquez and Vinales. It doesn't look like the hard front tyre has been the pick of the day today. Aleix Espargaro down the road, Vinales 5th, but 10 seconds back of this battle for the leader. Marquez fading really fast in 4th place.
And Pedrosa all the time is closing on Valentino Rossi at the front, with just over 9.5 laps to go. They race down through turn 7, now at turn 8, and Lorenzo is not letting them get away in 3rd place either.
Valentino Rossi has not put a foot wrong as yet in this race. He hasn't given a chance of anybody. Just a little bit of grading there you can see on that super slow motion replay on the left-hand side of Valentino Rossi's front tyre. I wonder what condition the right is, of course, because there are 4 more right-hand corners around this Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. Sorry, Dylan.
Sorry, very quick word. Chubby Forrest, who's replacing Loris Baz, has unfortunately retired with a bit of pain in his arm.
Bit of arm pump, I would imagine, having to ride a MotoGP bike for the first time. Well, there is the gap. Rossi and Pedrosa. It's around 3/4 of a second, 7/10 of a second. It's pretty constant at the moment. They will be feeling every twitch, every little slide now. They will be thinking and thinking about how are those tyres going to stand up in these conditions.
Pedrosa,
9 to go.
Pedrosa took 3/10 of a second out of Rossi in the third final sector alone last time around. The gap now is under half a second for the first time in this race. So Rossi is slowly but surely seeing his advantage cut down to under half a second. Dani Pedrosa now closes right up in the braking zone for turn number 4, 9 laps to go, and Rossi's under real pressure here.
Will Pedrosa get close enough? We know we're here trying to overtake him. He's done it to his teammate Marc Marquez. He's done it also to Jorge Lorenzo. He's nice and close, and they're down at turn 8. He wants to be close at turn 14. That's where he's been past the previous 2. Can he take Rossi there? Can he be close enough as they come into 9 and 10?
Rossi will be closely monitoring the situation on his pit board. He'll know that Dani Pedrosa is now his closest threat. He'll know that Pedrosa's been taking out chunks of time on his advantage. Pedrosa through the second sector on this lap has taken another 10th out of Rossi, and now we're into the part of the Misano track where Pedrosa has been absolutely phenomenal so far in this race. He won't be close enough this time around to attack Rossi at turn number 14, where he made brilliant moves on Marquez and Lorenzo.
But he just closed right up on them in the braking zone. It's braking all the way from 11 to 14. So he's right on his rear wheel as they come up through 15 and 16. And I'm sure that's where he will make his move, but he's got to be a little bit closer than he was. He still has time. They cross the line. 8 laps to go. Dani Pedrosa chasing his first victory of the season. We ride with Rossi into turn 1, 2 and 3.
Did Rossi clip the grass coming out of the final corner there as he powered that Yamaha into the start-finish straight? Because if he did, it's borderline whether he was exceeding the track limit. Here is Dani Pedrosa. Rossi has responded. He knows Pedrosa's right there. Rossi, a personal best lap of the race last time around, a 1:33.215. Pedrosa is about to pounce. He's right up now behind Rossi coming out of turn number 6. Is he close enough to attack on the brakes down at 8?
Not quite close enough. Rossi very fast through turn 7. He closes up once again on the brakes through turn 8. It's 14, he's going to try it, but he's got to be closer than he was the time before. And Rossi is good in this section as they come into 9 and 10, but he again closes right up on him.
Got to give credit to Jorge Lorenzo again. Last time around, he also put in a personal best lap of the race, a 1:33.260. But he's just fallen about a second now behind Dani Pedrosa.
Rossi gets great drive out of 10, doesn't he, into 11, because again, I don't think Pedrosa's close enough. He would close right up now, 12, 13 and 14, but I don't think he's quite close enough. We said that, though, when he overtook Marquez and Lorenzo.
Yeah, Pedrosa with that soft option front tyre, when you're braking at lean angle going down into turn number 14, he's just got much more grip on the edge of the front tyre than Valentino Rossi. Look again, corner speed of Dani Pedrosa is absolutely brilliant. He's going to come over the line now. He can sniff the exhaust of Rossi's Yamaha. The gap is under a tenth of a second. Start of lap number 22.
Rossi will know he's there. He'll hear that sound of the Honda banging in his ears as he goes through turn 3. Pedrosa's closer than he has been previously. He's right behind him, up at 4 and 5. He wants to hang in there. He may have
he's through
at the inside.
Pedrosa through at turn 4. That's as aggressive as we've seen Dani Pedrosa in a long, long time. He picked Valentino Rossi up coming through turn number 4. Pedrosa leads the Misano Grand Prix for the first time. Now, what has Valentino Rossi got in response?
We know what Rossi ought to come back at him immediately. He's going to try it at turn 8. He's not quite close enough. Rossi always will fight back if he can, but you know, Pedrosa may just have the speed to get away. Rossi, though, closes up again at 9 and 10.
That was shades of Pedrosa versus Rossi at Aragon almost 1 year ago in that fight for the podium places. Now, Dani Pedrosa, has he got the pace he suggested to get away at the front? Pedrosa already putting in a little bit of daylight between himself and Rossi. He's now in this third sector where he's been supreme so far in the race. Rossi, is he close enough to launch a counter-attack coming into the final section? Pedrosa started 8th. Now he leads this Grand Prix on lap number 22. There's no way through at turn number 14 for Valentino Rossi. Pedrosa as yet can't shake him off.
Rossi hangs in there. Familiar number 46 right in the face of Dani Pedrosa. Through 16 they've come. The orange Honda, the blue Yamaha across the line. 6 laps to go into turn 1. And Lorenzo not that far back, just watching the fun at the moment in 3rd place. Behind them we have Marquez across the line in 4th. Nobody else is across the line yet. Vinales 5th, Dovizioso in 6th place. We wait for Cal Crutchlow in 7th. Pirro 8th, 9th should be Paul Espargaro, and Alvaro Batista having a good ride on the Aprilia should be in 10th place. Only 9 riders across the line as we stand. We're having a look at the replay. Did they touch?
Yeah, they definitely touched. Dani Pedrosa just made sure that he had the inside line. He let off the brakes. He knew that Rossi couldn't turn in. And Pedrosa with the inside line made it stick. This is, can you believe it? We're in round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship this year. This is the first time we've seen Dani Pedrosa at the front of the field.
This is the Dani Pedrosa that was a 125cc world champion, double 250cc world champion, Grand Prix winner every year in MotoGP. We've not seen anything like this from him this season, but he is on fire at the front with 5.5 laps to go.
5 laps away from history. Is it going to be an 8th wonder? Are we about to see an 8th successive different winner in MotoGP? Valentino Rossi is going to have a big say in the outcome of this 28-lap race because Pedrosa just cannot shake off the charge of Rossi. Looks like Lorenzo's dropped back. He has. Lorenzo's now over a second behind Rossi in 3rd place. Look at this charge in the second, well, in the mid-third of the race from Dani Pedrosa, including that mesmerising lap of 1:32.979, a new race record as he just ekes out again a few precious bike lengths on Rossi at the start of lap 24.
Yeah, 0.3 of a second when they cross the line. We are riding with Valentino Rossi up through turns 4 and 5, top end of the circuit. It's got to be closer than this. Pedrosa riding the wheels off a Honda through turn 5, 6 now, onto this mini back straight really with a little kink in the middle. Rossi absolutely giving it everything. He so wants to win this race, and there's 5 precious World Championship points up for grabs as well. Pedrosa doing a great job for his teammate Marc Marquez as far as the championship goes, and Pedrosa is just opening up a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, he's 0.6 of a second clear now of Valentino Rossi. Those guys behind Pedrosa will be scratching their heads about how Dani Pedrosa in these baking hot conditions has made that soft front tyre last as long as he has. We know he's got a silky smooth riding style, Dani Pedrosa. We know he's the lightest rider in this MotoGP field, but the way he's nursed these front tyres at the pace that he has done, it's been an exhibition so far from Pedrosa.
Yeah, an absolute exhibition of riding in these conditions with that softer option tyre. He's very light indeed. He's had a wretched season because of that. But once the conditions are right and he feels right, well, it could be 8 Grand Prix winners, which would be a record for a season in the Premier class. He's into turn 1. There's 4 laps to go. The advantage 6/10 of a second. Lorenzo's under this, 2.3 seconds down. Will Rossi launch one more big charge? It would be an amazing attempt if he was able to do that.
Yeah, it would, because it looks like Rossi just struggling with a bit of front-end grip now. He's 3/10 of a second slower last time around than Pedrosa. The gap's up to 6/10 of a second. Pedrosa's taken another 10th in the first sector on this lap number 25, so the gap almost 7.5 tenths now.
Kelly Pirro is past Cal Crutchlow, so Pirro up to 7th place. Crutchlow has been relegated to 8th. 9th is Paul Espargaro, 10th Alvaro Bautista. Eugene Lamini running in 14th place.
Just quickly coming back to our race leader, Danny Pedrosa, as well. Qualified in 8th place. He hasn't had a podium finish in the last 5 races. That is his longest sequence of successive race starts without a podium finish since his rookie year in the 125cc class back in 2001. Such a long time ago, I can barely get my words out.
3 races you've done today. It's amazing you've got any sort of voice left, to be honest with you.
What a day.
Well, Silverstone was unbelievable. It's just been an equally exciting day. This sport is absolutely at the pinnacle, and it's completely summed up 8 different Grand Prix winners with our fingers crossed for Danny Pedrosa, because he deserves to win this one.
Do you know what? Rossi is not giving up the ghost just yet. We knew he wouldn't. We know Valentino Rossi is one of the hardest fighters in this field. Rossi has responded. He's just put in a personal best lap of the race, lap a 1:33.025. He's cut the gap between himself and Pedrosa back to half a second.
2.5 laps to go. Is there a final twist in the tail? This is turn 5. Rossi being urged on by 100,000 yellow-shirted, yellow-flagged supporters. It's just over the hill here in Tavula. There's nothing more that they want than him to win the race.
Here's Pedrosa then in the braking zone down for turn number 8. He gets that Repsol Honda bucking and weaving under the brakes, gathers it all back up nicely to power it out of turn 8. Long run then down to the turn 9 and 10 double apex right-hander, and Pedrosa was strong in the first 2 sectors. He's gapped Rossi by 4/10 of a second. He's almost a second clear again of Rossi. In that tight and twisty section, turns 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then that run through 6, it's Pedrosa's front-end grip that's given him the advantage.
Here he is again. This is Pedrosa at his very, very best. Has not put a single foot, inch, anything wrong so far. We don't want to put the commentator's curse on him. There's 2.5 laps to go. Well, actually, there's only just over 2 laps to go. We ride with him through turn 15. He's coming up to 16. Rossi now is being gapped. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It is over 1 second now. I think Rossi's going to have to settle for second place.
I think last time around was Rossi's last throw of the dice, and it's not going to pay off because the gap is 1.1 seconds. Last time around, Pedrosa was 6/10 of a second. This will be a dagger to the heart of Rossi. Of course, he would have loved to have won in front of 100,000 fans here, but
this is over, I think, don't you? Unless Pedrosa hits big tyre problems now.
Well, Danny Pedrosa's got to make a mistake now in the last couple of laps because it's his race to lose. You're absolutely right, Nick. He's absolutely ridden brilliantly. It was Pedrosa the predator in the first half of the race. He worked his way through the pack, and once he pounced, well, he hasn't really looked like surrendering this lead, to be fair to Danny Pedrosa.
I've got to say, this is as good as I've seen Danny Pedrosa ride in all 3 classes of Grand Prix racing. This is classic.
Where's he been? This was a Danny Pedrosa we expected right from the get-go in Qatar. We know he struggled to adapt to those Michelin tyres. These hot conditions do favour him. He doesn't have those worries about generating heat into the tyres. Yeah, he's taken another 4/10 of a second out of Rossi through sector 2 on this penultimate lap. The gap now is 1.5 seconds. This Misano MotoGP race is there for the taking for Danny Pedrosa.
He would become the 8th Grand Prix winner of the season, which would be a record in the Premier class of Grand Prix racing. It's just what MotoGP is about at the moment. It's picked up another tenth of a second through the third sector. It's across the line. 1 lap to go. 4.226 kilometres. 2.626 miles. Danny Pedrosa chasing his first victory of the season.
Danny Pedrosa's not been in this position for almost a year. Malaysia, Sepang, last October, the last time we saw him stand on the top step of the podium, but Danny Pedrosa comes through turn 4. This is where he took the lead with that aggressive move on Valentino Rossi a few laps ago. Safely through 4 and 5 for Pedrosa. His lead now is up to 1.6 seconds.
20 precious World Championship points. There he is, Phil Reid, 125, 250 and 500cc World Champion looks on. Rossi now has settled for second place. His 20 precious World Championship points with Marquez down in 4th place. Danny Pedrosa, half a lap to go. He's at the far end of the circuit. Turns 9 and 10.
You have to feel Danny Pedrosa, look, he had a good look twice there over his right shoulder just to see where Valentino Rossi was. Well, Valentino Rossi's not in contention. Pedrosa then comes through turn 11 for the very last time. History beckons for the Spanish rider. Pedrosa safely through turn 12 and 13.
He's safely through 14. This is where he overtook Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi now settling for second place. His dad looks on, arms folded. History in the making. Danny Pedrosa is going to become the 8th winner this season in MotoGP. Danny Pedrosa wins here in Misano.
Pedrosa, the master of Misano, history in the MotoGP World Championship. Valentino Rossi put up a valiant fight for second place. Jorge Lorenzo back on the podium in 3rd. Marc Marquez, a lonely and pretty disconsolate 4th place for the World Championship leader. Maverick Vinales crosses the line in 5th. Andrea Dovizioso will be the top Ducati rider in 6th place. Great ride there by Ducati test rider Michele Pirro to take 7th place. Cal Crutchlow, top independent team rider in 8th, just ahead of Paul Espargaro in 9th.
What about Alvaro Batista? Will he put that Aprilia in 10th place? He has done exactly that. So only 10 riders across the line at the moment. Danilo Petrucci, Stefan Bradl, 11th and 12th respectively. 13th is Hector Barbara. 14th should be Eugene Lafferty. 30-year-old Irish rider, he's across the line and completing the points, scoring the man that finished 3rd here last year, Scott Redding.
Well, the reason I'm sure we were looking at Phil Reid there was because Danny Pedrosa now has tied a certain British rider, Phil Reid, on 52 Grand Prix victories in his career. Valentino Rossi, it wasn't the win he wanted, it was 20 important points for the World Championship. He did all he could. He had nothing but Danny Pedrosa in those final few laps. He resisted for as long as he could, but it was clear that Pedrosa, with that soft option front tyre, just had by far the superior pace.
You summed it up in a lap and a half. He suddenly said, where has he been? That's good, I'm sure. And World Championship position. Well, Rossi's pulled back 7 points on Marc Marquez, and if he keeps doing that, it could be a little bit close at the end of the season. Lorenzo hangs on to 3rd place. Pedrosa now closing up, though, a little bit more on Jorge Lorenzo. Pedrosa's retaken 4th place from Maverick Vinales. Can we get another winner in Aragon? 2 weeks' time?
Well, I mean, these are heady days if you're a MotoGP fan. We said about it being a golden era at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. Well, look at that sequence. 8 different winners in 8 MotoGP races in 2016. In the Premier Class, we started way back in 1949. That has never happened.